Hey, here we are. And I'm not texting, I promise. Sorry, people are trying to get in touch with me. But yes, we are on Under the Rock. Welcome. We are very excited to be here. We thank you for listening and then watching. If it's a Thursday, you're listening. If it's a Friday, you're watching, hopefully, right? Thursday, the audio goes up. Fridays, the videos go up. So we are very excited. We have Vincent Lanci here with us. Did I pronounce your name right, I hope?
Yeah, you did.
Okay, cool. So he's got a lot of things going on. He's got a couple of different podcasts. What it's really like to be an entrepreneur. Is that right?
Oh, remember at the top of your head.
And the other one is a mental break.
Yeah, mental health break.
Mental health break. So he's got a lot of stuff going on. He wrote a book, which I just finished reading, and it's amazing. And his story is amazing. And so welcome aboard.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah. We're excited to have you. So yeah, we will get into his story in just a few minutes. The theme of this show, Under the Rock, is basically, you look at people, you see them, you might think a certain way of them, but there's a whole lot more with most people than what meets the eye, and a whole lot more we can learn about people and their journey. And I think maybe nobody's story is more fitting to that than Vincent's after reading his book. You might look at him right now and say, you have a certain idea of, what or who he is, or, where he comes from, or his life, or whatever. But you might really be shocked to learn what he's been through and how he came through it all. So we were just talking about the auto train. He's going to be taking one. That's not part of the story, but I just thought it was interesting. I've taken it several times because I just kind of, I don't know. I developed a weird fear of flying in my 30s. I used to fly all the time, and all of a sudden, I had my kids got a little bit bigger, and I had a booked flight to Florida, and it was like the weeks leading up to it, I started getting some anxiety, and I'm like, it's stupid. And anybody you talk to, they're like, oh, the statistics, and okay, I get the statistics. I'm like having a nervous breakdown here. Then you get days closer, and it was the night before that we were supposed to fly out in the morning, and it was the night before, and it reached like a fever pitch, and I totally just lost it, and I'm like, I can't get on this flight tomorrow. I don't know what's happening to me. But I had an argument with my wife, and she wouldn't let me I was like, I'm going to drive down. I'll meet you down there, even though the flight's already paid for. And she wouldn't let me take the kids. She finally let me take my son, and I'm like, I leave my house.
Only one of them?
I got one, and I'm like, I'll take it. I'm out of here. And so 11 o'clock at night, and I'm just driving down, I go to bed at 11 o'clock, so I'm already exhausted. I made it to Delaware, and I was like, I got to stop. And I'm with my son on this crazy road trip, and yeah, I don't know. And ever since then, we had a fun road trip. It was me and him. He was like 2 years old. We had a blast. Maybe it was 3. But it was fun. But
this might be like a really, really silly question, but is an auto train just a regular train?
No.
So what's an auto train?
Yeah. Do you want to field this one, Vincent?
Kind of nicer. You get a seat. Sometimes you get a room with an outlets, but they'll feed you twice, and you're able to just drive your car onto a little trailer in the back, and then when you get there, they call your number, and you go get your car on just like that.
It's the coolest.
Wow.
You can go all the way to California,
length.
I think, right?
So your car's on the train.
Auto train goes
it's
from...
a train, but with your car, pretty much.
Wow.
It's like one trip. It only goes from Lorton to Sanford, Florida. That's the whole trip, and then it goes back and forth.
Okay.
So if you want to take the auto train, you drive down, 5 hours from here or whatever it is. You get on the train. They take your car. They put it on one of the train cars, and then you go. We usually get sleeper rooms because we have kids. And then, you get a nice meal, or two meals.
You pick what times you want to go. There's
Dinner.
a couple options.
Yeah. They start. It's like, wait staff. It's like a nice.
It's nice.
meal.
I was surprised, actually, the first time. It was good food.
Yeah.
Where do you go? Where is this? Where do you go to?
Lorton, Virginia.
It's in the Virginia.
Oh, so you gotta go to
it's,
Virginia.
it's not in New York,
yeah.
like down the block. I
No.
could just. Oh, okay.
It's down.
It's
It's
like
just
right around here.
down the block like 5 hours. So just
Okay.
You avoid traffic, so that's the.
yeah, you avoid traffic. You avoid flying if you had mental breakdown like me. But yeah, so ever since we've been doing auto trains, and I happen to really like it. But there is a nice thing about getting on the plane and like 2.5 hours later,
being there.
you're there.
Yeah.
So
Do you think you'll ever be able to get on a plane again?
yeah, I've been threatening to for a little while now. I was actually gonna over the summer. We went to Florida, and I was like, I'll just do it. I'll be fine. We'll get on the plane. And Dina, she's like, I don't want to deal with it. I'm not going to deal with your stuff. So we're just going to go on the auto train. And I'm like, okay. And then if I do fly, she doesn't want to fly with me anymore. She's like, you give me too much anxiety. Like, maybe we can go on a separate plane or something. Because, like, you make me nervous. Like, you're freaking me out. So.
He's like, you ever see Final Destination?
Oh,
Those movies?
classic.
That's like him. You would hate to be on the plane next to him because he's thinking of worst case scenario every time.
Yeah. I think if I'm by myself, I'll be fine. Doesn't matter. I mean, it matters, of course, but
You should do it by yourself first to get yourself out of the comfort
yeah,
zone.
I think I could do that, no problem. But then it's like when I'm bringing like my kids on, I start like my mind just goes to all these places, and I just kind of like, and I know it's irrational, and I know the statistics. Like we drove down to Florida a bunch of times. We almost died a couple times on the road because it's just,
It's nutty out there.
It's yeah, like some guy's he was towing a trailer, and the thing ripped off on 95 and just took out like 8 cars behind him, and we pulled up on that like 30 seconds after it happened, and I'm like, flying is definitely a lot safer, but still
And faster.
yeah. Anyways, did anybody else want to get into? We're gonna get into Vincent's story. Speaking of fears and stuff, I guess rational or irrational. We'll jump ahead and then we'll go backwards if that's okay.
Yeah, whatever.
Is there anything that since what happened? I know you were looking for a word to describe it. You landed on incident, not accident, because it really should have been avoided. But since all that stuff happened, is there any sort of irrational type of fears that maybe you've developed, or just things that kind of come about? I don't know, maybe it's dreams or something that weren't there before.
There's a part of your brain, they were explaining to me, that it blocks the bad memories from you. Since I was walking on the side of the road and a car hit me from behind, I don't actually have a visual memory of it, which is a blessing in a way, because that would be a pretty bad flashback, I'm sure.
Oh my God, yeah.
So now it's just kind of bigger picture thinking, more than just a short term in any of my decisions, thinking flashbacks. It's all make sure it's worth it now before I do it.
Okay. And you're saying that's like a built-in defense mechanism that we have, that kind
A
of
little more
like protection.
precautious,
Okay.
second guessing, not second guessing, but just thinking twice.
Okay.
Still, whatever, but
Yeah.
it's got to cross your mind a little bit.
It's there more than it was.
Yeah.
Like a spidey sense almost
yeah,
type of thing.
I
Yeah.
guess so, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. No, that makes sense. So can you take us back to obviously there's your life prior to, we'll call it the incident, a terrible event. You said you were looking for some other way to describe it, but yeah, it's, your life before that. It was, it sounded like, you were, I'm sure you are still, but you were just kind of doing your thing, going to school, doing the right thing. I think you said the night that it happened, you were even trying to leave early because you wanted to get up early. Like, even though you were out celebrating, you had that
mentality.
Yeah, like great mentality. So, what was kind of going on in your life, leading up to?
Yeah, so my whole life, my father got up early. He's construction carpentry, so he was always up crack of dawn, and I would eventually get up, and I cherish those moments as we get older. But that habit, I hated it at first, because when you're at sleepovers growing up, you're always the first one awake.
Mm-hmm.
You're sitting up, first one to sleep. But as you get older, now you're a little more productive if you can get those few hours. But leading up to the accident, I was actually interviewing for a company called West Marine. They do the boating tubes and that stuff, and interviewing for a market analyst position out in California. Very different than what I ended up now. I always thought I wanted this finance job, this corner office with the title and the big paycheck. And then once I started working full time and getting some of that money, I realized it was kind of the opposite of what I really wanted. The transformative moment of the accident realigned some thoughts and visions where if I work hard enough at something, I'll still get that bottom line that I wanted, and I can make my own dream come true rather than somebody else's company, somebody else's dream come true.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're not doing what you were prior with accounting or anything like that?
Right now, no. Right now, it's kind of, since the book came out, full-on, full-time entrepreneur with odd jobs to make ends meet, of course, but something where I can devote most of my hours to building the brand, which is so hard.
Yeah. It's a full-time job and then some.
Yeah.
So the book is called Left for Dead, just for everyone listening out there. Left for Dead by Vincent Lanci, and it's a really interesting read. And there's actually pictures. I was surprised. There's photos inside there.
Tough decisions looming on you throughout the whole process. Do you put pictures? Where do you put pictures? I wanted them kind of where they fit in the chapters, where to have a sentence, I put that picture, but then the reader's eyes come off the page and then they're pausing and stopping.
Yeah.
So I thought the end of the chapter, and then we said, no, put it right in the middle.
Yeah. There's like a little break in the middle where you're kind of just flipping through pictures, of obviously, right after the accident, but I guess back to your childhood, stuff like that. But
the picture selection was even difficult because you don't want 25 pictures. You got to pick ones that are fitting, and I tried to put different time periods in my life, important people in my life, and obviously in the coma and then directly out of the coma. My face was all purple because when I got hit from behind, the police officer described I went up as high as about a basketball hoop and just landed on my face. I broke my fib, so my bone came out of my leg, and then they had to put a rod in to have it grow straight around it, which is horrible when you visit my family in New York because cold weather on the titanium is very irritable, and there's a bunch of problems I try to avoid.
Man. Yeah, you're not kidding.
When you first saw these pictures, like after the accident, so now you're still in the hospital, now you're creating this book, and you have to choose pictures of basically how bad you looked. Like, was that hard? Like, hey, here's a picture of me not even conscious.
Well, to sum it up justly, I was a senior, 21 years old. It was my first friend to turn 21's birthday. So that's the big, this is 2013. Social media is just really rising. Instagram's probably brand new that year. Mm-hmm. Senior year of college, and you're almost graduated. You work so hard, you and your friends, all these memories, and that's just stripped from you for something you didn't even do. I did nothing wrong. I walked home, not get in the car with a drunk driver, not drink and drive myself. But sometimes in the book you read that things don't always work out the way you expect.
No, I felt bad. I was, you're out with your friends, you're celebrating your friend's birthday, you're leaving early, you're walking home, you're doing the right thing, and you're like, something that just resonated with me was like, all I'm thinking of is I want to go home, like throw my hoodie on and like get into bed and relax.
Everybody knows the feeling. You're out. I wasn't really drunk. Had some drinks, some food. You're having a good time. But I'm tired. I woke up 5 o'clock in the morning probably. I'm ready just to get inside, and I get to my door and no key. I'm like, man.
Yeah.
Yep. But yeah, worse than the no key is what happened. So you're on the sidewalk. Is that right?
Well, I went back out to try to find my roommates. I lived within a mile from the bar.
Okay.
Senior year, we wanted to be as close to the action as possible, not have to drink and drive or all of these situations. And when I went back out, I was unlucky. And then as I was going back, across the main road was Kennedy Boulevard, JFK Boulevard. And as I was crossing, I got over, and I was probably, I really could have thrown a football to my house from where I got hit by the car. I mean, you didn't see it coming. You hear cars coming because they're cars, but you don't hear it right on top of you until it's too late.
Right.
And then I woke up just kind of about a week later out of the coma and started this new life.
Your last memory, do you have a memory of walking across the street or no?
I remember walking home. I remember the exact situation because I'm familiar with the area. When you're traveling down northbound, there's one side of the road, the TD Bank, and there's a frequent police checkpoint there for DUIs, coincidentally.
Thank God.
And exactly. And then the other side's like a Subway gas station, late night gas station. And as I'm walking, the police officer had two choices, save my life or go arrest the guy. And granted, he chose me. But that whole process of catching him, my blood was on the car, DNA, all that on there. And it still took about 8 months to make an arrest, which is frustrating when you have your hands tied.
So there's a police officer sitting basically right there who watches it because he's there doing a police checkpoint anyway.
Yeah.
Which, thank God, because I don't think if there was nobody around, we're probably not having this interview.
Unfortunately
right now, right?
not. I mean, toast for sure. It's the Strip. It's a one-way coming where the bars and the restaurants are, and he's there for a reason, obviously, and kind of just.
So
yeah.
what? So obviously he goes to help you, made the right decision, saved your life by getting you to the hospital quickly, but. How did they actually wind up? I don't know if I just missed that part or what was it that how did they figure out who it was? Like, did they go to the footage from the local stores or?
Man, it's so disheartening. The Florida laws are a lot different than the New York laws. There was a valet law recently passed where the valet is no longer responsible for the driver or whatever. Not talking from a suing standpoint, but saying that they had no footage of this guy where he parked the car. He had no drinks at this place. He parked the car at a different bar than where he was out or whatever. So finding if he was, it was just kind of.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
And then, at the end of the day, once they made the arrest, Florida only requires drivers to have $10,000 minimum motor driver's insurance, basic motor's insurance. And my hospital bills were over $400,000.
Yeah, 10,000 is not even a.
It's
drop in the
$10,000 at the time. My bed in the hospital, just to be in the hospital, I think it was $4,000. Just the hospital bed, no medicine. Tylenol was like $150 a pill.
Just like the room.
Add
Oh my
$150.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah, $4,000
so
a night.
it stacks up, and then I bought a titanium rod for myself without wanting to.
You splurged on that?
Yeah. 6-figure piece of metal.
So your insurance only covered you up to a certain point, then it was out of pocket after
exhausted. I mean, it's real screwy the way it works. You think that driving a car you would have insurance. $10,000 is literally 2 or 3 months of my school.
Yeah.
When I was in college.
I think most people have like a couple 100,000, right?
In New York, you have the bigger policies because
Right.
there's more, I call them real laws.
Okay.
It's kind of like the Wild West down there at times.
Wow.
They're behind a lot of things.
That's unbelievable, though.
Yeah, it's sad.
Man. And so they finally do catch. Do we need to take a quick break?
Yeah.
Okay. So, all right, we're going to get into a lot more, obviously. We're just getting started, but we do have to take a quick break, and then we'll come back. We'll get back into it.
Perfect.
Introducing Review Stars, our proven system to help generate and circulate real reviews for your business. And in this video, we are going to show you how it works. First up is review generation. Review Stars makes it easier for your business's customers to leave reviews in the areas most important for your business. Once set up, your business can easily send out review requests to your customers via email and/or text from any device. Or the support team can help send out 10, 20, 500, or 5,000 review requests at a time to an existing customer base. The customer then receives a friendly review request with buttons that take them directly to the desired profile page, making it simple to leave their feedback where you want it the most. Once the review is posted, you will instantly receive a notification. Next up is review presentation. Review Stars monitors various online review profiles and harnesses the reviews. We then showcase those reviews on your business website in the form of a badge and feed, both of which are updated in real time as new reviews come in. From there, you can see and respond to all of your reviews in one place with our convenient dashboard. Lastly, let's touch upon review circulation. As new reviews roll in from any of your connected review profiles, Review Stars will automatically post and showcase the review to both your website and your business's Facebook page. The way you are perceived online can have a great impact on your business. Thankfully, Review Stars can help. For more information, please give us a call or visit us on the web.
Hey. We are back. Welcome.
We're
Thank you for joining us again and sticking with us through that little break. We are on with Vincent Lanci. We are getting into Vincent's story, which is an amazing one. He's going to college down in Tampa some years back, and he's walking home, and he gets hit out of nowhere by a drunk driver. while he's on foot. Obviously, they're driving.
Yeah, negligent driver, I call it, because unfortunately it was a hit and run.
Oh, okay.
All the facts were there, except
Okay.
he chose to save my life instead of chasing the guy.
Okay, so we don't know definitively, but a negligent driver, right?
That's like my accident incident.
Okay.
Just trying to pick negligent.
Yeah, exactly. So ends up in a coma, severe brain trauma. They put his leg back together with like stuff from like the hardware store, like nuts and bolts and, titanium rod and just incredible. And so he wrote this book, Left for Dead, and it's a very cool, great read, very interesting, great story of redemption, which I think actually says right on the cover, a story of redemption. And that's what it is. And there's pictures inside of it too. One comment I have is, you're in a coma and, your face is totally, just cut, shredded up. And there's a picture in there. And so I had two things. A, I was wondering who had the presence of mind to, make some of these notes and take those pictures. And B, your hair looked really good. I'm looking at the picture and I'm like, this guy's got a great head of hair and it's like combed perfectly. So like whoever, I'm a guy who's like follically challenged. So I noticed these things. I'm like, this guy's got a head of hair on him. But yeah, I was like, somebody, probably, fixed you up a little, but and then actually had the presence of mind to take some photos.
Yeah, so the book is very unique in the way, the whole book I took so long on it, I thought it'd be a 6-month project and it was a 4-year project. I tried to make it one of a kind, unique, where there isn't anything like it. One of the unique aspects is my mom kept a journal the first 14 or 15 days, whatever, me in the hospital, all the things I said, did, ate, didn't do.
The Vinnyisms, I think we will get into that. Hopefully
we'll get those. The goal of that is to, everybody's had a family member in the hospital or they've been in the hospital. You read my book, you'll resonate with it day by day because of the common things that happen. The brain injury those things I talk about, I'm sure you read, where brain injuries and combination of hard drugs in the hospital, the morphine, whatever, you can't separate dreams from reality. It's very difficult. So there was very many incidences where, not embarrassing, kind of just funny to look back on. When I was in the shower, I had a broken leg, so I couldn't shower myself. I was just on a plastic bench in a locker room type shower, and there was another guy with a hose on me, shower nose. I would put soap in my body, but my brain saw blood go down the shower. I thought it was just seeing red water. I thought I was in Silence of the Lambs.
Oh my God.
So that was a really scary, few days, and then I didn't want to shower because I thought I was bleeding. And
you're really believing it in your mind.
Oh yeah. I never met Jerry Buss, who was the late Lakers owner. I must have seen something on TV. I was in Los Angeles, saw some kind of newspaper clippings. I still have vivid memories of me and this guy I've never met in my hospital room hanging out.
Wow.
As I said, just shooting the shit, hanging out.
Yeah. Wow.
And it never happened. He brought me 2 presents on his last visit I talk about in the book, where one was a picture of me and my dog, Lincoln, and then the other one was a gold, like a gold chocolate. And it turns out the chocolate was just me going to the bathroom in my bed. It wasn't actually chocolate.
Oh, my God.
Wow.
So I thought I was on a ship because the hospital's on the water. So I thought I was on a boat filming TV commercials or as you're watching TV, electronics were taken away from me, all technology, because of how confusing it is to your brain waves. I was at an elementary school level when they asked me what my age is, where I went to school. When I was out of my coma those days, I said Pulaski Elementary School.
Wow.
That's where I went to elementary school. So I was 21 years old, but my brain was a 5-year-old. That's why they said you may never walk or talk again on your own and go to the bathroom 24/7 AIDS. And I adopted this tell me I can't and I will philosophy, where I'm going to do what I have to do to accomplish my goals. And they said need a year off before going to school. I went like 3 or 4 months, started doing my finance again, just pushing it.
You're a fighter.
Well, I didn't want to use it as an excuse or a limitation, sit and sulk, crying, why me, you turn something bad into something good. Yeah. Had to re-adopt these study habits. I used to be a kid who can read something 2 or 3 times, get an 80, 85, 90. Now it was read, type, write 75 times to only retain maybe a tenth of it.
Wow.
Got to rework with your brain injury,
That's frustrating.
developed. It's horrible.
So how long did it take for you to get out of the elementary mentality to now, okay, I'm a 21-year-old man?
I could say 2 weeks, but probably, months. And
Wow.
you want brain injuries are one of those things where it's an invisible disease. I look fine from the outside, but in the beginning, you can't even begin to explain what's going on. It's every month that goes by, you realize something was I'm a little sharper. I didn't realize I was even off last month. I didn't even realize something was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But then when
Because it was reality.
Because reality,
Yeah.
then I would be studying, and then all of a sudden, maybe you'll remember a little something that you normally wouldn't remember that quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And this has been 7 years yesterday, actually, or 2 days ago.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah,
Wow.
it was the anniversary.
Oh, wow.
And my short-term memory, some of the parts just came back like 4 or 5 months ago.
Man.
Crazy, and it's 6.5 years. The brain's different in every person, so doctors can't they say around 5 years to heal.
Wow.
But when I'm doing all this work with the podcast and all the stimulating my brain cells, I think that's probably a factor why I'm starting to regain some memory, but
Amazing.
it's tough.
Yeah, that's got to be incredibly tough. So yeah, you had this vivid conversation or a bunch of conversations with this guy Jerry. Then did you ever just double check with him just to make sure
He wasn't actually there.
I got back to New York, I guess February 14th, 12th sometime. I got back to New York, and on ESPN was Jerry Buss had died.
Oh,
True story. And
Okay.
I hobble out of my room, leaning on the wall because I can't walk. I'm like, Dad, Jerry didn't even tell me he was sick. And he
God.
just goes, yeah. And he only said it like that because he knew how fragile my brain still was. I still to this day, if I had $1 million, I'd put it down that I was with Jerry Buss.
wow.
And we're best of friends. The
That's
best
awesome.
of friends. He can't visit me twice. And
Well, if it's
Wow.
real in your mind, it's real. and your dad knew enough to just not even challenge you.
well,
on that.
the doctors precaution you on
Okay.
every possible outcome, but for them, there's so many possible outcomes because of how severe it was. That wasn't supposed to make it through the initial night, and then that evolved into the doubts that I can never do things on my own again, what have you, like we spoke about. So it was kind of just play it out.
I've seen the morphine. I don't know if that's exactly what it was, but my mom was in a really bad car accident, and she winded up with a bunch of broken ribs and a collapsed lung, and she was in ICU for a couple weeks. And when she went into a regular room, she was on like a lot of those really hard hitting drugs, and she's watching the TV, and she's like, "Oh, I know that guy. He used to. I used to hang out with him, or what on the TV, like." And I'm like, wow, that's weird, that's cool, right? So, but then, and I was like, that's probably like, it's not that crazy, it was on this obscure show or whatever. But then everybody else that walked into the room on the TV, she's like, oh, that's Joe. He used to work for our company back in the day. And that's, and I'm like, we're like 4 people in, and I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, I got it. But so she really thought she knew every single person on the TV.
Those drugs are no joke.
And I'm like, I'm not going to argue with that,
They do their purpose, I guess, what they're intended for, the pain, but you're loopy.
Yeah.
You're really, you need a chaperone.
You were in there for a long time, right, the hospital?
A little over 3 weeks, yeah.
You were trying to get out at a couple points. You're like, I want to get the hell out of here.
Yeah, a couple escape
plans.
in the book I tried to roll out of the bed and Navy seal the door because I can't walk or what have you, and it was close to getting put in a restraining vest.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Or the beds with the net around it.
Because you're a young guy. You're like,
I was
want to get
21,
the hell out of here.
and you don't realize what's going on. I lived so close where I thought it was like a hotel. I said, I want to go home and just shower and I'll come back. Because I lived, less than a mile away.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get that mentality out when friends would come visit me. Click, back in the dorm rooms, back in my buddy's house, and then
Hanging
they
out.
leave, and you're depressed, and you're angry, and you're yelling.
Yeah.
So during that time, the 3 weeks or so that you were in the hospital, is that when you decided you wanted to write a book? Like, how does something like
at
so
that
traumatic
point-
happen, and what made you want to tell the entire story?
At that point, I was more worried about just getting back to where
Yeah.
I was, getting back to Florida. I was willing to do whatever it took. The book, I started volunteering with brain patient victims and injuries relatively back after my return, and I realized the positive influence that you being positive can have in other people. So then I'm networking, and then I end up speaking at graduation as the commencement speaker for my MBA, and I realized
Wow.
the impact. Yeah, first gig, 8,500 people.
Wow.
Jeez.
Scary. So then I was like, maybe this could be something, and then I try to become an entrepreneur, not thinking how oh, I'm working for myself, no problem. And I realized I work 100 hours now for
Yeah.
0.
Doing 8
Yeah.
jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then I realized the good that can come of it. And then now with the book, people that are having any really forms of adversity, pick up my book, you'll get through it and you'll think a little more clearly. You'll tap into a different part of your potential that you probably didn't know existed.
Yeah.
Just because of perspective, it brings things to light
Oh
that
my God, yeah.
what's important, what's not. I do a Thanksgiving gig usually at my old high school, at least every other year, where I don't talk down to kids. I say I'm a former student just like us. This is some stuff that happened to me. So I'm thankful for my family, the food in front of me, my friends. This is why. And then they're kind of like, when you have little kids that actually come shake your hand or high five you, you know, it means something because, you know, they could be texting. They know they don't want to be in assembly.
Mm-hmm.
So it's cool.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just amazing. Like, you know, we all have our day-to-day issues and struggles, and you're like, you know, this day sucks, and I'm just, you know, it's just everything that's going wrong feels like, you know, just nothing's going right. But then when you step back and you look at it in the perspective of, you know, here's somebody who, you know, really had a bad day, you know, because it could be a hell of a lot worse.
It could always be worse, even though it's easier said than done to be positive 1,000% of the time. You have to always realize someone's got it way worse than you. Someone right now is really hurting. So you got to be positive and find the light in that little crevice somewhere.
Mm-hmm. You got a great attitude, you know, and I could see you kind of like being an inspiration to other people, because you were able to fight, you know, through all that. And was there one thing or several things, or, you know, like at your kind of the darkest moments of you going through this stuff, where you're just probably in a lot of physical pain, you're obviously, you know, getting very frustrated, and, you know, you said you had some anxiety, and a lot of things you were very honest in the book about, but, you know, can you think back on anything that was that in the back of your mind saying, you know what, I got to keep pushing, or, you know, reasoning why, you know, what was it?
Well, I'm blessed, I'd say. I mean, I don't know who's listening, religious or not, but when you go through something like me, you kind of find God in a new way. I am fortunate enough to have skipped the crutches phase for the most part. I was so diligently trying to walk again. The anger of holding on to a wall and falling into a wall, trying to walk straight, and you just can't. You're bouncing. Being dependent on everything and everybody is just something you want to put in the rear of your mirror as quickly as possible. And I kind of used that as fuel. I had at the time, my dog Lincoln, raised it from the size of my forearm, was about 85 pounds, you know, German Shepherd, Dover, mutt, and my mom's dog was a little shy poo thing. So they would be playing, and they'd have the dog gates up because the dogs, and I have to try to get over this dog to move around the house, and I would fall over the thing trying to build my legs. So I was so motivated and determined to get over this dog gate, because then, you know, the dogs play and the big dog whacks it on accident. I have to hear about it for it. So the gates are up, but I couldn't walk around the house because I couldn't get over this gate. So I'm trying again. I'll try again. And then eventually I'm able to balance for a little long enough. And it reminds me of when I'm taking showers in the beginning. I need like the handicap rail because I really, you know, I have 2 bolts in my ankle, 2 in my knee, and they were fresh. So, yeah.
So that was actual, you know, there's figurative hurdles, and then there's real hurdles. There was a real hurdle in your house.
Yeah.
That's something a lot of people just kind of, you know, flip their leg over and don't think twice about it.
I smile every time I do it now. I swear still, I walk around the house, I step over the dog gate, and it brings a smile.
They're like triumphant.
It's like the everyday stuff that you take for granted.
You take, the ability to breathe on your own, walk, go to school, get a water bottle on your own, things that you don't think twice because why would you? Mm-hmm. And then once it's taken away and you're bedridden in a hospital with, you know, nurses and doctors that you don't even know. Yeah. Just kind of.
Yeah. You said they had breathing tubes actually doing your breathing for you for
in the beginning, yeah, grateful. I don't remember any of that because I really don't remember much in full detail if it wasn't for that journal. The first 2 weeks, it was kind of there, but not there.
That's amazing that they did that. That was very cool, actually.
Yeah, I mean, it helped the book.
Yeah.
It helps people, more importantly, people that read in the day-by-day events in the hospital. If you spend some time in there, you've had at least half of these things done to you and maybe help you remember again how lucky you are that you know you will fight the adversity. It's just a tough time. But every tough time, there's a brighter time right ahead. I believe that today stinks, so well, tomorrow will be better, that means.
Yeah.
Nice.
Now, do you think, like, now that every day you're still, like you said, remembering things, but for the most part have recovered, do you ever think of the guy that hit you and forgive him for it? Or are you still like, this should have never happened, or you're grateful because you're even here?
I've
Like,
been practicing the art of letting go over time. I've been practicing, and my thing is, everybody is going to make a mistake, whether some are more significant than others. I think people deserve second chances if you understand your action, you feel sympathetic, you're sorry. This guy tried getting off house arrest every 6 months because that's the law. You can do that, I guess, in Florida. And for the first, I'm looking at my near killer face to face. Horrible, over and over again. He gets denied every time. This guy does not say sorry once. He does not even apologize. I would have definitely, hey man, I ruined your life. I'm sorry. I really learned from this. This guy was on, I call it the Dante Stallworth treatment. I don't know if you're familiar with that. He's an NFL player about 10 years ago. I believe hit somebody, and instead of going to jail, he got 20 years house arrest, probate, one of those crazy things. This guy got something similar because he had no prior felonies and a great lawyer. So he was in the comfort of his own home this whole time, friends over, go to work, school, church, and home, I think. And he never even said sorry until 3.5 years went by. And I told the judge, I'm like, and I said, if you have a kid, that's how I started. I said, just share my story. I'm not lying or anything. I said, if you have a kid, put yourself in my mom's shoes, my dad's shoes, and then look at this guy and you think he deserves to get house arrest. And then he said, oh, we've tried apologizing for you since this. I'm like, all right, man, like, sure. Like, you didn't, but that's my answer. I mean, if you learn from your mistake, everybody changes. You can do a ton of bad things. Doesn't make you a good person, but you can be a better person. You can always grow and try your best to fix your actions. You can't always resurrect it completely, but you can try, and there's no effort. There's no, if you hit someone I hit someone with a squirrel, I would stop the car. Hit a dog, you stop the car. This guy kept going on North Howard. South Howard turns into North Howard. South Howard's with the bars and restaurants. North Howard's more residential and post offices, what have you. It goes into a interstate, north and south, right about 0.2 miles from where I got hit. Guy keeps going, just hops on the interstate, just like that.
Amazing.
Gone within minutes.
And when you hear that, it's like, for me, I mean, I'm really removed, but I would never want to forgive them.
Well, put yourself
at
back
least stop.
in college. How many friends, whether you thought about the time or not, go out and drink over the limit? Over one drink is the limit. You're over, you will get a due, and plus 4 or 5 drinks. If you had 10, you're like, oh, I'm fine now, I'm fine. But you're still not. People worry about what happens to me if I get pulled over or DUI, but what happens to somebody else? Say you were texting, you look up quick, changing the song, all of a sudden you hit somebody.
Right.
And now you're freaking out because you're drunk, you just keep going.
Yeah.
Hypothetically, of course.
Yeah.
Amplify the one drink over times texting, and it's just like, because already, I mean, even if you're just texting, you're already distracted, but now you're a drink over the limit and you're texting, it's like.
And it's everyday stuff, and a lot of times, unfortunately, people aren't going to not do something until it happens to them and they have to learn a lesson from it. They're not just, you hear things, but the smart people, those who want to fulfillment out of life, whatever they define success to be, they're more rational about their decisions and aware. And everybody makes mistakes. Everybody does something wrong once in a while. No one's perfect, but you got to just try to not do something stupid.
Yeah.
Or resurrect it. Try to
fix it or make it
hit someone in your car. I mean, we all probably would have done something different. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I liked what you said, too, in the book. You're like, this is what happened in terms of, the legal part of it, and this is what, happened, this is what didn't happen. And, hey, the system isn't fair, and life isn't fair. And I was like, well, you know what? I mean, to have gone through all this stuff and then to come out on the other side and be like, you know what? That's it. Life isn't fair sometimes.
It takes time to adopt those philosophies. A lot of knows. A lot of things not going your way, and as an entrepreneur, everybody knows that 99% of the things don't go your way, and I've just learned to kind of just expect the worst, as bad as that sounds, but be prepared for if it does work out in time. Just kind of, like I said before, just cherishing those decisions, making sure that it's what you want to do. It kind of I wasn't like an alcoholic before my accident or anything like that, but we were 21, we were out all the time, and now I'll go out if I rather have a drink and watch the game or something, or watch a movie at the house. We'll go out maybe once a month now with some friends if I'm back and forth to New York or Tampa, catch up with some friends. Not that I don't enjoy it, it's just...
It has a different meaning now.
It's just now it's got to be celebratory, preferably.
Yeah.
If I'm going out to have some drinks, I'd rather. And plus, I can't have a hangover like I used to. I'm old now. I need 3 days to
my
recover.
God. Yeah,
It
you're not
does.
kidding.
I'm the same way.
I have like a 6-pack watching a game. I need like 3 days.
It's crazy what we used to be able to do.
Used to go to 8 a.m. class the next day.
Yeah, no, I can't
Go
do
out
it
for,
anymore either.
This place next to campus, the Drunken Monkey, it was called.
Yeah.
Then you go to class. It's crazy. And now,
Hey,
no more.
if you're out there listening and you're going through or fighting back through, some, just really tough event in your life, I mean, look at this guy here who, fought back and, got his master's, wound up speaking at the graduation, right?
Yeah, the commencement.
Wrote a book, has 2 podcasts, he's an entrepreneur. And, hopefully this can kind of like, fuel somebody out there that's struggling.
That's
right
my
now.
goal. I mean, you go talk to an audience, even if there's 5 people or 1,000 people, the X percentages is not really there. Their mind's elsewhere. And for the people you do get through to, that's what it's all about. Whether it's a paid gig, a pro bono gig, anything. The end of the day, the message is the same, where I'm hoping to positively impact as many lives as possible. Everybody wants different things. Everybody looks for different content and speeches and engagements. So part of my brand building is just trying to do as much of it as I can and just hit as many touch points and help people through any way I can, whether it's through kindness, which is rare now, through kindness posts where I'll be talking about the significance of my family, my Tampa family, my friends, how important they are to me, because at the end of the day, you could be the best player in the world on a team, but if your team is trash, you're nothing. You have to be grateful for the people around you. And I try to just express my messages and never preach, just share my story, because no one wants anybody to preach and tell them things. I just share my story and take it or leave it. This is from the heart. I appreciate when you said before how you felt those messages in there. I mean, I had very first person. I had to remove, 10,000 words almost because I went off on tangents.
Okay.
Just being myself. I didn't want it to read like a textbook or something you've had. I wanted, as we're having a conversation, I'm trying to have a conversation, but then I had to make the sentences a little more, nice.
Yeah, you get a good feel for you and your life, your family, everything that's kind of, I guess, molded you into who you are, and I guess maybe in some way equipped you to have the mentality to even deal with something like this. I don't know.
I mean, I went home as a 21-year-old and having to stare at your last semester of college through Instagram, Facebook, seeing what you're missing. It kind of molded this where, because entrepreneurship is extremely lonely. You're by yourself most of the time, especially during 12-hour days. And I've just learned to not care really what I'm missing. When I'm ready to do it, I'll do it. But when I'm a one-man army with 50 passion projects, it's just you gotta get to bed after dinner and you gotta be up at 1 or 2, and it is what it is. My mental health breaks, just the gym and meditate a little, just kind of
keep it moving
until the wheels fall off.
That's awesome. Well, this was great. Again, Vincent Lanci, it's just awesome. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Yeah, I appreciate you all having me. It's great to meet everyone.
Yes,
Likewise.
same here. And check out his book, Left for Dead, and check him out on social media. What's your handle on Instagram?
Yeah, I'm at Vincent A. Lanci on everything. Websites vincentlanci.com or vincentalanci.com. I use the A eventually to just separate, because there are other Vincent Lancis, but also just to separate myself as a brand name.
Sure.
And I realized that people may forget that, so I had to have the info at Vincent A. Lanci and Vincent Lanci emails, the 2 websites. So I kind of
You got it all now.
have extra expenses for no reason. But if someone reaches out for help, I have a lot of DMs where people go through some things. I say I'm not a doctor, but people
Lend a
my
helping
message.
hand.
It's comforting seeing your message actually spread, and you see the work actually starting to pay off a little bit, where people are positively affected. Because that's my bottom line more than the money. It's the message. The goal.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can help in some way. And again, it's Vincent Lanci, Lanci. And this was great. Thanks so much for being on.
Thanks for having me. Ken.
Thanks.
All right.